The parable of the shrewd manager in Luke 16 is one that I've always found confusing. At first, I thought that Jesus was trying to say that he wasn't mad at the manager's methods of getting things done. But then I've come to understand that he used the story to let the disciples know that they weren't as savvy in worldly matters as the children of the world were and they ought to be. However, he didn't he wasn't saying that the methods of the world were acceptable to him, because the methods of the world were different and don't work in the kingdom, which was what he pointed out. So as Christians, our focus should be on true riches, not worldly ones, so that we can either be slaves to faith or to wealth, but never both. So you either are a slave to your money or to God. Now, the parable of the rich man is the only one, have you noticed, the only parable that actually had names in it. Abraham, Lazarus, and names of real people. Now, we know that this Lazarus is not the same Lazarus who is the brother of Mary and Martha, but it was a beggar called Lazarus. And so some people believe that it wasn't a parable at all, but I'm inclined to believe that it was. And Jesus told it this way to really bring the story home to the Pharisees. Now, for the Pharisees, it would have been unthinkable that their patriarch Abraham would associate himself with a lowly, sore-ridden, poor beggar. But Jesus probably, or no, most likely told it so that, it could make them think. Abraham's response to the rich man, when the rich man pleaded that he send Lazarus, and then I even thought that was shady. Like, dude, you are in hell or whatever. You still think you have a right to send Lazarus because you think he's a poor man. Or you know how how it is when people put you in a box. They always want to leave you in the box where they found you. But then when he pleaded with Abraham to send Lazarus to his brothers, that was a reflection of what Jesus had been saying all along. They had the law, they had the prophets, and they didn't believe them. Now Jesus, the Messiah had come to them and would die for them and be raised from the dead. And even that wouldn't make them believe also. So it was just really a foretelling, or rather it was an illustration of all the things that had been said that were coming to pass. Now, in the healing of the 10 lepers, as Jesus makes his way to Jerusalem to his death, was a significant thing, and it had gone over my head until now. Now, in Hebrew law, the lepers weren't allowed to show themselves to the priest until they were healed, right? But Jesus asked them to go and show themselves to the priest, and on the way they got healed. So they actually received their healing in obedience, because as they were going was when they were healed, right? And it was so ironic that it was the Samaritan who came back to thank Jesus when he realized that he had been healed. And that was just so amazing to me, like the lesson, and then the lesson that they actually got their healing in obedience. And I just packed that somewhere in my mind, filed that at the back, for my life lessons, because sometimes perhaps I may be in a situation, you might be in a situation where your healing will be in obedience. Now, regarding the kingdom of God, in verse 21, Jesus was telling the Pharisees, he was letting them know that God's kingdom was among them through him. He was the kingdom of God and he had come to them, but they didn't understand. And he said he will still return, but then obviously they couldn't recognize him and couldn't comprehend what it was that he was saying. Now here's my hashtag getting to know God lesson. Jesus met all the different groups of people we read about today, where they were. All the people that he interacted with, he met them where they were. He met his disciples in their bewilderment and their confusion. He met the Pharisees in their arrogance and their doubt and their unbelief. And Jesus responded to each group of people accordingly. The final verses of chapter 17 speak about the coming kingdom, and it makes plain the fact that Jesus will return to establish his kingdom here on earth. Have you thought about what side you'll be when this happens? I pray that you will be ready and waiting. And whenever that day is, because we don't know when that day is, I pray that you will be waiting with confidence and not fear, ready to be accepted into the kingdom joyfully by Jesus. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've learned something valuable, the same, just like I have. I hope you've learned something valuable as well. And it's always a joy to share with you. And I look forward to doing the same tomorrow, God willing. Have a wonderful day. Bye.